So this is the prime opportunity for evil astronauts, I'm going to call them here, to do their damage and to do their work. And we'll find out how much work they can really do against Astralis, the fallen titans, if you will, here. They'll be starting things off over on that CT side, and EG will be ready to go with the pistol round. A lot of utility bases here.
I'm surprised about how much utils really come through off the back here from Evil Geniuses. Farlig trying to get up towards that party position, spot for the early information, but instead EG are going to start bringing the cavalry back out towards that B site. And as of right now, Astralis have got a heavy stack towards B.
Yeah, straight in with the defaults, utilities set and ready. They can just throw these smokes out, smoke out the heaven control somewhere on the site most likely. Got two players extremely close to deal with, Zipex and Glaive, holding close with the Julies, tapping away, but not quite getting that opening kill. Finally draws out two. Viz with a responsive, and Zipex is back up out towards short. He'll try and take point for now. Bentley's going to fall, as will Viz, eventually leaving Pone alone in the 1v4 to lose the pistol to Astralis.
First of all, you've got to give praise to Astralis. They had 3 on B in that round. You've already got a heavy stack, and for Evil Geniuses, you're struggling to over-rotate. Yeah, Farlig was playing up there at Party. He spotted the information from T-Con, but Astralis don't move away. They don't over-rotate from that B side, and the trading game struggled there. As soon as those Julies get the contact information towards Monster, you know it's on. You know you're here for the defense.
Yeah, solid stuff overall for Astralis, and if there's one thing you can give praise to them is the fact that they have a lot of experience. We've been talking a lot about that over the course of the Major. Imperial, for example, a team that obviously punish a lot of inexperienced squads, and well, as you mentioned, Evil Genius is a new opportunity available to them to come and play in Europe. Let's see whether that inexperience will continue to harm them here. So far, it's just a basic eco. This should be dealt with pretty effectively by the Astralis side, so M4's out. No real limits to the buy, no real exploitation points for EG.
Exploitation? EG, the lineup of Paddy Astronauts, this year, Jay, 17 wins, 3 losses in best of ones.
Quite a lot.
It is. Keep in mind, though, it is a lot of local talent. They haven't played a best of one against a European side. That's going to be the difference maker in an event like this.
And that's always going to be the key thing about any of the teams they take on here for the EG side, minus maybe Finest, perhaps.
Very true.
Set in with those pistols, looking out towards the mid control. You've got BLUEJAYS. They will spot them all, put nades out, and probably deal with them as effective. Indeed, cleaned up effective on the CT side. All 5 alive, and you can't really expect anything less.
Even DJ, one of the riflers coming out for this Evil Geniuses side, his best map in the pool, Overpass. So while we're definitely going to have to be keeping an eye on Pone alone once he gets that AWP out, see if he can get some comfortability, also DJ, consistent rifler when it comes to some of the T side, and especially for Astralis, I think Conflict and BLUEJAYS is a no-brainer. We've got to be looking at them.
Absolutely, 100%. Those guys have been the standout elements of this Astralis side. Standout numbers for them overall. AK is coming out now for the Evil Geniuses side. Standout weapons for the T side. 2 Galils for Bentley and Jonji might become a bit of a problem, but it's not like Astralis aren't limited themselves. Set into those defaults. A bit more spread out this time, and a lot more emphasis in connector here.
Oh, this is aggressive. So far forward from Farlig, but without that dual setup, without that second player to flash or be the bait and switch from the party, it means he's isolated, and Evil Geniuses do not get caught sleeping. That's a very nice opening man advantage. The question is, what can they do with it?
Still working in this connector control. It's only 1 player to isolate. They could throw 2 bodies at it. Config throwing himself at the continuous long aggression. Pone alone and Bentley are here with the AKs to look forward to see those incendiaries coming down and get the 1-for-1, a 2-for-1 trade in fact. Config with a double and a 3-on-3. They do win that connector control, but at what cost?
Oh, it's a little bit sloppy, isn't it? That trading game, you could see just a fraction behind there for Bentley. Needed to be quicker to back up Pone alone. And now for Astralis, you've even rotated Glaive up towards the A-side defense. They don't know about the walk forward of Gionji at headshot.
It's very far aggressive. So far, so undetected. Config will catch out the info all the hard way. Nades back to his position, not quite doing that much damage. At 34 HP, still the weakened element. He's going to charge forward into the fire, put up by the T side. Glaive now forced to fight, but still inaccurate. Still can't quite get those kill headshots. Takes a dink back as Config pulls Jonji, wraps that corner, gets the double up, and now it's all left to Zipex. 1 versus 3. He's got it down to a 1 versus 1, in fact. Up against DJ. Can't win that last fight, though. EG get there first.
You've got to give full credit in that round to Jonji. He made that possible. He ends up with 3, and the double entry that came down to the bomb site directly. Yeah, you've got the clutch situation trying to unravel the HG forward to isolate the 1v1s, but Jonji really stepped up when it needed the most, and right there for EG, it looked a little bit more clinical on the side take.
Yeah, positive signs for them. When they get the big guns out, they get the big rounds. Astralis still lacking in the firepower department. They had a FAMAS in the previous round. They got an SMG on Glaive this time. Also lacking in the kit department for that matter. Retakes might become a bit difficult for them here. Nade set and doing initial damage. Just stalling the EG execution. Not quite as coordinated this time.
Yeah, definitely not as aggressive as well from Astralis, not looking for as many info plays. Instead of aggressing out to long or party, they've actually taken the MP9 to get it in around the short pipe position. Viz just waiting for an overswing or a slight contact peak to come through from Connector. A lot slower though. And when we think to these last few rounds, we've had contacts within the first 30-odd seconds.
Yeah, much slower pacing. Work out better in the long term for the Evil Geniuses. Vice versa could be said for Astralis. Have got those off angles played, particularly BLUEJAYS here in his cubby corner in Connector. EG faced only so much resistance from him previously. Let's see whether Viz will get caught off guard. I think Blame just repositioned to, not quite stick his gun barrel out, actually. Corner check, it will be, but Blame repositions and wins that fight.
And knowing that that bomb's right back there from the connector position means that the default's really going to have to get brought apart. Bentley trying to jiggle down onto the angle out from Divider. Does spot out Farlig. What a duel from Jonji.
Yeah, great bait and switch, 4-on-4 for it. Bentley charges up with flash support as well. One player on the back of the site might become a bit of a concern. Config trying to fight for vision, but it's just going to be suppressed by utility. Back up towards Bank. Meanwhile, Blame wins his fight against DJ, and Zipex catches Ben off guard. So a 4-on-2 for Astralis. EG forced to rethink things and rotate back into Con.
And knowing the fact that even BLUEJAYS hasn't rotated completely up towards the A site, as soon as he gathers some information or hears one of those footsteps, perhaps even a smoke for Jonji to go down towards Heaven, he could focus that attention back over. And look at the time.
Yeah, there's a smoke on Jonji to try to extinguish those flames, but that will give up the game immediately, and they figure it's best to hold on to those rifles. So no follow-up round for Evil Geniuses. A 3-1 for Astralis to kick things off, and not a lot of cash in spare for the T side.
If we talk about the positive notes, one element that I was quite impressed in that round was creativity there from EG. What they try and do is catch the timing where obviously Farlig's out into the open, gets caught off by Jonji. Bentley finds himself really aggressive, gets a flash over high, gets up towards that truck position, and then at the same time they leave a lurk. They allow DJ to slow walk out towards that monster position, try and open up a free B site, and instead he gets caught. There's a slight vision towards that short pipe. That's BLUEJAYS. That kill right there, that finishes the round.
Zipex, even with that blind kill, didn't even notice it was through the smoke onto Bentley, so perfectly timed. Caught up. Caught out. Astralis so far so good for them. Not the best of starts overall for the Evil Geniuses, but again, they have had some positive signs. It's just that this early start, it's definitely been the Danes.
And when we think about what we've seen so far, especially with the opening game in Group A, I think we can have that realization, Jay, that you create an upset in the opening best of one, you could set yourself up to not only survive slightly longer, but perhaps put yourself top of the group and go further into the playoff bracket.
Yeah, all about these best of one wins. It could change the complexion of everything. I mean, it could throw Heroic off reasons. They just lost their own best of one. Could be the same for either losing this matchup. No winners for Evil Geniuses in round 5. Again, pistols pulled out. Those two weapons saved were the only things that they got. Blind fire, utility basis. The angle from BLUEJAYS again working well into Con, catching Viz, and Config continues to burst through on Jonji. Very pre-fireable angle, and now both the rifles have dropped.
Start getting that feeling as if Astralis are going to start coming into their own, going to get some more composure going, make the rounds a little bit more threatful over to the EG camp and up against the Eco Pistols. Haven't seen much at all. Quick trade comes through from DJ. It's something in the round.
A little bonus. Shouldn't make a mass amount of difference, though. You imagine this is going to be easy enough for Astralis to close out from here. And indeed, no Kevlar, no chance, not even seeing the last man of the CT, so there you go. Astralis continue to extend. Evil Geniuses now have another chance, another crack at the main force, if you will.
And I think definitely for this lineup of EG, they've got to try and cement themselves in the actual event. Something they've been very good at recently is obviously the Cash Cups, some of the qualifiers back home in North America. When they get into closed qualifiers, when they get into the RMRs, when they get into the big name events, that's often where we see them slow down. So a good run here at Pinnacle and a good showing can really turn the tide.
You've got to think as well, with 3 rosters essentially for Evil Geniuses to play with, how will that affect the dynamic of internal competition? How will that affect motivation? We're trying to be better than the other team. We all know that the main roster for EG, if you will, the old roster, that's not been as impressive as it really should be. So if this squad can go deeper in this tournament, it's something massive for them in the long term. Jonji, a massive kill against Farlig out towards that mid control. Caught off. One player at party might become a problem, though. They have no idea about BLUEJAYS.
Yeah, Bentley's making a lot of noise as well. Trigger discipline's going to be important, and he needs a multi-frag.
Only one pistol to give up the game and lose so much HP for that. Bentley got so much out of it, but still Pwn alone. Falls BLUEJAYS looking for the triple, but Viz finally puts him down and Jonji can double up the same.
Very well played there for EG, just putting a lot of dynamic players in and around the connector and party and just forcing the over-rotates. Glaive now getting slightly aggressive towards long. Might hear these footsteps.
Engagement from Zipex, however, it's an end to Jonji's life. Glaive chimes in as well. 2v2, now to a 1v1. DJ chimes in, grabs that bomb, and should charge right into the ace. But Zipex is going to be one quicker here. 40 seconds. The smoke can go down to buy a bit of cover out to the default plan. I think he's at the edge of it, though. Zipex charges forward, catches the only angle he needs, and catches the 5th round for Astralis.
And we all know Zip's one of those players where, okay, maybe if you deny him the 1v3 earlier, you might get away with it once. But are you going to get away with it in every single clutch situation? Probably not. That's the revenge. That's being able to answer back, allow one of those clutch situations to come through. And realistically, there for EG, they'll be disappointed. Knowing the fact that they finally dealt with BLUEJAYS and Jonji got that kill into connector, there should have been more in the round for them.
It's good to see Zipex having impact. I know he's received a lot of criticism over the last handful of months. Chance to prove us all wrong. Something against EvilGenius will be prime opportunity for a player like him to try and back in. Jonji, however, just leading the charge as he always does. Up close and personal against Glaive, who shuts down 2, and everybody else seems to fall for the 2 side. DJ hangs in there for a little bit longer. That bomb should get picked up and maybe planted in the middle of the smoke. But that bomb plant may be the best that EG are going to get out of this round here. It's very open as well towards short. Nades in shouldn't deal. Oh, well, that will deal with Bentley, most certainly. Fantastic shot for BLUEJAYS. Blind as a bat, and only one player will fall for Astralis, continuing this hot streak. And this is the concerning signs, I guess. You could have expected something like this from EG to a certain angle, but everyone was coming in pretty optimistic from the EG side. So seeing this optimism just get knocked out in the first handful of rounds, not encouraging.
I think you've got to be realistic, though. If you're an EG coach, if you're an EG player, you know you're going up against Astralis in an opening best of 1, it's going to be tough. Like, it's not going to be an easy affair at all. And we're seeing variation. We're seeing changes in tempo. We're seeing changes with some of the util standpoint. Jonji being very quick in some of these entry drills. Bentley trying to see if he can force the AWP off angle. Haven't seen much AWPing at all from Farlig.
Throwing new ideas at the wall for EG, but not much of it is stuck. Again, Jonji is aggressive up on shore. Not quite as force forward as he was in the previous round. Have his control and have Viz to back him up here and connect, and the Molotov up towards Topcon will try to drive BLUEJAYS back, but BLUEJAYS going to re-aggress. Viz has taken an angle, sees that gun barrel, but still loses the fight.
Viz has had a tough time against BLUEJAYS. That 1v1 duel in connector seems to always go the way of the CTs. Jonji trying to catch a timing with a footstep being heard and catches Glaive off guard.
Yeah, all-important pick there, 4-on-4. BLUEJAYS is so low. If they can get a nade in there, that'd be fantastic, but they've only got a Molotov on Jonji. Backed up here, Farlig's AWP can chime in on Bentley, and it could be Astralis to bring back the man advantage. EG playing from the back foot, and they are desperate to get a kill here.
And that's the support, right? EG want to put a lot of emphasis on trading out BLUEJAYS. At least the AWP of Farlig's giving them an opportunity, and Jonji's getting spammed down. BLUEJAYS eventually going to fall, but Jonji's on 40 HP.
Yeah, one of the top fraggers, it seems right now for the EvilGenius side. 2 kills to his name in this round, certainly. Pwn and DJ are going to set themselves up here in at Monster. Smokes at the rear to try charge in, but again, they're going to the heavier stacked site. Config and Zip ready and raring to receive. They'll even charge forward and deal with Jonji. That's info to be gained as the utility gets thrown out. EG have got to commit here.
Astralis are taking so much map control back towards that short position in later portions of the round, and now even out towards B, there's 2 of them.
Big sprays, captures information on both, the kill onto 1. DJ just tapped up easy. Heads will roll in Monster, and it'll be 7-1 for Astralis. EvilGenius, the struggles will continue, and they're forced to take a tactical. I think this is the right call here.
And if we just compare the events, right, obviously we have a look at something like Pro League. We saw that Astralis were in Group D. You have a look at EG, they were in Group C when they were Party Astronauts. Astralis made it all the way to the playoffs and even to the quarterfinals. For the EG side, they didn't even get a win. They weren't even able to get a series victory. You look at the RMR, Astralis, they qualified to the major. Even at the NA RMR, we weren't able to see this EG lineup do it. So it's just keeping in mind the comparables between the two. And right now for Astralis, I think we're seeing an outclassing.
Yeah, it seemed like a simple outclassing at that. You mentioned how EG has just been playing a different pace, a different style, throwing a lot of new ideas at a wall. Only 1 round is stuck for it. Not much can be brought up in this particular round here. Tech9's coming in. Well, Deagle's a P250, a Glock for Jonji will upgrade to the Hero AK.
I actually like that. End. He's been doing decent.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
And just knowing the idea that the economy game's in a situation where you're going to be able to full buy next round as it is anyway, get as much out of the Hero AK as you can, hope that you're able to get some damage forward, drop as much out of the economy bank of Astralis, if at all possible. And knowing that the scoreline's 7-1, it's not exactly like Astralis are working with 10k plus on the money float. It actually is limited for some players.
If they can pull it off, it'll be a fantastic round for EG. Hell of a steal. Might get them back into the matchup. As it stands, it's Glaive with the opening kill. So once again, they're left out in the dust. Left out for dead. Farley looking to make another player dead. Might even see that bomb carrier here. Peeks in, sees 2, now 3, gets kill on 1. Blinders are back for the flashbang, but the Glocks just aren't powerful enough. He gets a double, not quite the triple. John G at least chimes in to take Blame's life. AWP now in the hands of the T side as DJ backs off for the bomb. Will they continue commit towards A? I think they are, and that's the bad call because Config will deal with the penultimate frag, leaving it all on John G to clutch this. Has been a great player so far. Be great in that one duel, but it was still scrappy. He loses a lot of HP for it.
Just trying to make anything happen in this sort of round. Even DJ was posted with the AWP to try and get that trade frag up towards a truck position. And John G expecting another player in towards Connector, realizes he's got to get back over to the bomb. Config's out to the left-hand side. They don't know about this.
Smokes will come down to reveal his position. Nades up towards the back of the site. Won't do any damage, and Config's back will be turned. That could be an exploitation angle for John G if he looks around there. He assumes it's clear in the corner. Oh, 4x3 out of it. Couldn't spot Config. That's good enough for Astralis to have the half.
And we know that for John G, even though he may not be a part of this core and lineup for too long, he joined up in January, he's a very experienced player. We knew the days of when he was playing on E United, when he was playing on Riot Squad, had a couple of stints in with the Bad News Bears, as well as the Chaos side. And try and see if he can use some of that experience, the LAN experience too, with the Party Astronauts, and now over towards EG. 8-1 on the scoreline right now for Astralis, and you start feeling as if, are we going to see more playmakers from this T side?
Well, I have to see them, honestly. Things are not looking good.
It's quick again.
Out towards that mid-control, great shot for Farley. John G is the first to fall. Damage done to DJ and Viz the same. Nothing done to Astralis. Evil Geniuses have gotten off probably the worst opening start in the rounds that they have seen so far. BlameF is so ready for more, as is Farley.
Nice trade coming through. BlameF getting tucked in towards the corner. Farley doesn't quite have that bait and switch anymore, and instead going to rotate Config up from the B side, clearing out as much of the bathrooms as he can, but EG are quite defensive at the moment.
Working their way in towards long control here. At least Bentley's going to throw a flash to indicate they're moving up. Not quite able to find any contact or any further kills. EG still pretty at the 4-on-4 as the minute ticks by. And the bomb makes its way into the B commit.
Oh, a lovely shot coming through from Ponalone. EG now set themselves up for the BXE, and it comes down to Glaven only.
One man standing. Farley at least makes it a 3-on-3, takes some of that pressure off and starts to rotate alongside Config. Glaive is seen and DJ just can't get the kill. The IGL of the CT side gets another great frag back to the 3-on-2 now for Astralis. AWP running the AK, engages for Viz, a 2-on-2 now, even standing. EG continuing those trades, passing that bomb back, and Glaive can't see them. Here's that tap, knows it must be down at default, knows this M4's not powerful enough to wallbang. Look at the edge of the smoke, hope that it can catch him as he clears. AWP spotted and still not dead, finally is now, and Viz should be known, swings out, sees them both and just can't connect his shots. Once again, problems for Evil Geniuses. It's 9 for Astralis. This streak, this lead, this gap continuing to grow, and it doesn't look like it's showing any signs of letting up.
Well, you think about exploitations and maybe where some of the mistakes have really been coming through. It feels as if late round, it's where EG struggle the most. Those over-rotations, that was a fantastic AWP pick to come through from Ponalone. They're just not quick enough to react. They're not moving into that B site fast enough. And then, of course, even your lurk of Bentley that's playing up towards the A site, he gets caught off by the AWPer, and just pressure building from that point onwards. So calm. Calmly played there from Glaive, not even making a footstep, not getting too aggressive into the fight, just waiting for the duel to present itself.
Yeah, it's that discipline and experience is always going to play up to their favour here for Astralis. Evil Geniuses, Ben's dead to a Molotov.
The HE hurt so much, didn't it?
Yeah. It seemed like it landed and then he just got panicked and just couldn't get out of the fire in time. Evil Genius is not even seeing a CT player before they lose that first fight. They'll try to go relatively quick into the B site, and Zipex just going to line him up and knock him down easy. 2 left, and surely not much left in this round for EG. I say that, and Viz does give a good old college try, but now Ponalone, bottom of the board for his team, is left to clutch it all. He at least gets Zipex to drop. Smoke will go down the same. Bomb on his back. Could get the plant from here.
Got to try and isolate a fight, surely. force it into that 1v1 situation. He's afraid that there's still some heaven control. At least he's getting the vision taken away from the smoke.
Tap once leaning in, Nade to do the damage. They're trying to set up the boost, and he might make the big brain plays. They're both watching it though. Oh, they suspect it. They have an inkling, they have an idea, and they have the information to know for it. Blame with the kill. Whether that was a bait and switch, they failed the boost itself. Either way, it was the right play. That's good enough for Astralis.
They broke it down on purpose. There was a slight sound cue that came through there from Ponalone, so of course you're going to be able to try and capitalize. And now you start thinking for EG, what are the next options? We've seen the quicker B plays, we've seen the slow defaults. It's not as if we can look at something and say, we haven't seen them capitalize on that. We haven't seen the attempts. We've seen a lot of variation on the T side. The unfortunate factor is we haven't seen a lot of success.
That's the key issue, right? What is going to be that successful play? What's going to be that successful style? What's the big weakness that EG can exploit against Astralis?
Yeah, it's got to be getting those opening man advantages. Quick heaven smoke can get lined up. A little bit more of a quicker play. And as of right now, you've got two players aggressive towards short.
Glaive backing up. Flash is going over. Incendiary is coming down. DJ and Viz tagged up. Working their way in towards this short control. Glaive standing ready to receive. The M4 watching connector. Jonji's head's turned away. Ponalone can get the trade. The rifle's done its damage. Two players low, 4-on-4.
Yeah, EG cancelled there. They wanted to go for the monster pop, and there's so much counter utility that they just can't opt to do for it at all. And because they've got so much information that there's mass players towards monster, you make an info play on A.
Lightning fast reactions there from Blame. Getting off Bentley and now leaving it to the three men that still remain in monster to make their way out. Viz, the first man out with the Galil spotted. Zipex again with a lineup. Sakil found. Not much more left in this round. Config will provide support from the other side of the site. At least they'll both be low, but they won't be dead, and that's the key thing that EG have not been gaining so far. Got a quick flash of the scoreboard right there, Dwayne. Some very low numbers there from the EG side.
Yeah, some of the playmakers really not coming through. I mean, even Bentley, we know statistically speaking, isn't one of the strongest players on Overpass, but we need to get more out of Ponalone, need to get more out of DJ. It can't just be Jonji, and even that, you look at 10 kills, you go, well, that's pretty good. He's been on 10 for a little while, and definitely slowed down these last few rounds. And I'm even considering the fact on these monster plays or any B-side execution, they need a barrels molly. There has been so many plays out towards that barrels position where they're just getting mowed.
They put a short molly down initially. Not going for the execution this time on the B site. Exorb will watch Blame F here in connector once again. Got Viz low, Jonji and Bentley high, but no worries that Blame could deal with it. I say that, and Viz gets that opening kill. Farlig forced to try and back in.
Now, one of the rare cases in which Blame F struggles in towards connector, that's been his domain, but Farlig with the AWP sees even more and just trying to hold.
Looking for that triple, sees Viz's shoulder, he does get baited into it though. Looks towards the York v York battle and Ponalone wins that one. Config gets tagged, the lone player back in the A side, but EG too slow to go for the commitment. A second player has now joined it on the CT defensive, but Config will still fall, so it will still be left to Glaive, and Zipex creeping in from the back stab. DJ watching, is going to account for this. Needs that headshot, and that's what he'll get.
Great discipline there for EG, just slowing it down, and they've got the clock to work with. They've got about a minute on the timer, so just try and see if you can exploit some of the mistakes, force those over rotations, and now for Glaive, very difficult 1v3.
Now here's the smoke coming in, the Molotov's coming down as well over at Graffiti. Got no access to this B site for the time being. They can put it down without him even really entering the open space. That's what they'll do. Plant secured. Glaive looking for his way in. So tempting fate. Hoping that they're overly aggressive so we can punish them. They're not. Backed up behind Pillar at its closest. Check the cubby corners, check water. DJ. The perfect headshot angle will finally break the streak and get EG their second round. But it's been a long time coming, to say the least here, Dwayne. Is this too little too late?
It might be. You have a look at the entire factors of EG. 6 wins, 8 losses in this map in the last 3 months. 40% round win percentage on T side. So really should be looking at sort of 6+, a comfortable state. But of course, you have to keep in mind that they are playing Astralis. They might even be able to force a reset. Come round 14, if they're able to come on top, it could be a few rounds in a row. Get a streak going.
Possibility. Momentum boost, but once again, running through those Molotovs up towards top of T-Con. Ponalone and Jonji extremely low, and Blame is ready to look for them. The AK seen the shadow. That's an easy pick, not even a challenge. Flashed over, Bentley's going to engage with the bomb on his back and will win that fight. But as is with every single EG 1v1 duel, they lose so much HP in getting it that it almost feels like it was a negative impact to the T side.
Even Config can start making an aggressive long play. Got to be careful that he doesn't have a teammate with him and exposing himself too wide. Spots out the AWP and can now relay that information into his con player.
Still got a tag on Pwn alone as well. Farley even tempting fate with his own press forward. And he sees Bentley with U2 in hand. Wasn't expecting Viz, but Viz couldn't capitalize and get that kill. Zipex, meanwhile, gets DJ. It's left to a 4-on-2 once again. The Astralis side decimating in every manner they can. These last three players with so little map control and so little opportunities, it feels like, to get back in this round.
Yeah, even Farley can get towards the edge of Con, get up towards T-Con and just wrap in behind them. And then you sandwich from this point onwards. You have to commit up towards the A site. Players all around. You deal with Config, that's at least a start.
Zipex there with a quick response and a double up in the end. Bit of commonality that they feed themselves to in 1-by-1 and lining themselves up for the same angle. Zipex knows what he's doing clearly. Doing well enough to keep Astralis back in this one. An instant responsive to EG's second round as well. So that knocks all that momentum right back to square one.
And Astralis have been really class at pulling distractions and allowing action to happen across the map. EG have always struggled because anytime they're focusing in on a certain area, it feels like a pick comes from B or a pick comes to long. It comes elsewhere to where the majority of the action really is and where the majority of the group up is, and the lurkers just not finding that success in duels.
Once again, so you're going to go back to the fast pace here for EG. Pwnalone's already dead to the hands of Farlig, though. Everything seems to come to a grinding halt thanks to that frag. A bit of resistance over on the B site, a lot of aggression over towards the A play in mid for BLUEJAYS. No one's there to receive it, though, so this could just turn into a backstab that removes all elements from play here on the execution. Viz taking damage, the T's trying to press forward ahead of that smoke, but not willing to do so. Neither can they find an angle on the boost.
Zip getting caught in the timing, but there's so many players out here towards B. EG can have another pump at it.
It's Config with a kill on DJ, continuous sprays from Glaive. Viz tagged Config, charges forward, Bentley can get that trade. But everything else has fallen around, including him now for BLUEJAYS' part. Jonji on 18 points of health, a Galil in hand, a backstab that's now completed itself. And BLUEJAYS looking for the closing frag, as is everybody else for Astralis. To close out the half with a high note. 13-2 seems like the likely score, and that will be the final scoreline of the first half. Decimation from Astralis, and I hope that the optimist in me really hoped that Evil Geniuses would do something to keep themselves competitive here, but it feels like it might be too little too late with these two rounds.
Yeah, it's been rough like sandpaper. It's not been an easy game. They've been getting slammed in so many different areas, and just even think about the bomb plants. They're not coming. And they weren't coming in that first half at all. We saw one bomb plant in a round that they didn't win. And as an overall standpoint, we saw a lot of success coming through from Astralis with multi-frags. I mean, BLUEJAYS, he was just all over them, wasn't he? He was having such a great beginning of the half, and then we started seeing more from Glaive. Then we started seeing more from guys like Farlig. And then when you think about that, when you've got multiple players stepping up big time, how can you fight against that?
And we're also seeing great stuff from Zipex as well. Like second top fragger of the board, and again, everyone's been railing on him for the last few months. So far this year, it's all been him in the spotlight for Astralis as being the negative influence, but you can't see any of that here in this map up. Again, experience seems to trump them all here. Evil Geniuses Pistol to save their skins here in the best of one, and DJ to start things off on a positive element. Zipex dropped first and foremost, but Viz turned around in trade. Jonji, DJ going back and forth with the T side. DJ gets a triple, in fact, and Farlig is left alone for the pistol clutch. Taps that bomb once, baits in Pwnalone, but Pwnalone lands the perfect kill and gets an all-important pistol for EG.
And that's what they need. Just a confidence booster to feel as if, okay, we've got a way in. Now, of course, you've obviously got that second round and you want to try and get the conversions. You want to start building up the momentum. But as a whole, two players in con working off each other really well, and DJ just showing individual prowess.
Good stuff. Again, got to give it praise where it's due for them. These headshots were utterly perfect.
Yeah, we like them.
Beautiful stuff. And gets the guns out for EG. No bomb plant for Astralis. Still force playing with the Eagles, though. Try and do some decent damage with the one-shots. Got Glaive being the forward man of the mid-control. Everybody else a bit more passive for the T's.
You've got to expect they're going to force buy. 13-3 up, you know you're just fueled with confidence. You want to try and react immediately. You want to force that reset into EG, get in that double eco status. And now for Evil Geniuses, this, I don't want to say it's the real challenge, because obviously they've had plenty of them so far, but if they're able to just find a groove, a way in which they can have some comfortability and start striking rounds in a row, we could actually see a pretty tasty second half.
It's possible. CT side is usually the favoured half of the majority of teams, and in the case of the Astralis, and I guess also for Evil Geniuses, that's definitely the case. Heavy bias towards the boys in blue, if you will. So it's a positive start. It just needs to be the case of the follow-ups and continuing the comeback from there for EG. Astralis working with those deagles. Ponalone is seen initially, but no kills found against his name. In fact, Jonji is going to be able to combine with him, get the 2 kills onto Glaive and Farlig. Config also fell, leaving Blade and Zip in a 2-on-5. They have got those 2 kills though. 30 seconds. Can they get any more?
Get a long smoke down. It's going to be very difficult. They need to force out another fight. DJ's getting further aggressive. Even Zip's just trying to sell a bit of a fake out towards the short position. Spot out Viz, but that bomb's going A.
Yeah, playing distraction, but it's not baiting in the rotations. They're still going to leave one player back here. That's Bentley. And P9 does get the kill against the FAMAS. It was a bit of a worry there with the firepower difference, but ultimately still a fight that the CTs can win. 3 players live overall for the 4th round for EG. So slowly but surely, brick by brick, they're building their way back into this game.
Astralis can't expect another force up, so it should be fairly light. And then obviously build into that opening rifle round. Here for Evil Geniuses, start getting their way of farming up the cash if it's all possible. And try and get Ponalone onto that AWP as quickly as they can.
No such weapons for Astralis here. Eco basis thanks to the force of the previous. No bomb plants either, so not a lot of cash flowing in for them. EG going to receive them. Viz could get caught off guard if they're not careful. They do get away with 1 decent kill on the T side, 2 decent kills in fact. But Viz with the triple locks them all down. Zipex makes it an expensive round. Now actually, Jonji burns the last player or his own teammate alive with the Molotov assistance, and Dink of course from Glaive. Ultimately, 1 player alive is still a round for the Evil Geniuses. It might hurt the economy game going forward, though. Guns are back in for Astralis, and this could be the breaking point for EG.
Might, mate? Is that what we're using the term? They lost 4 players on a light eco. That is horrendous. Yes, it's the round victory, but look at the money. Your double eco status if you lose this round, and that builds up so much more pressure than what would have been the case if no one fell in that round.
Well, it might be the breaking point if they lose it.
Well, yeah, but even still, you've got to win it with a lot of players alive.
There's no easy way out of this here for Evil Geniuses. It's not easy Geniuses, it's Evil Geniuses. So, a lot of work to be done. They've got to start here, as you mentioned, with a confident round. They can't really afford to lose any players, I want to say. Not even the FAMAS on Bentley. That's not a sacrificial weapon.
They can lose a couple at most. Out towards a long take, try and see if they can put the AWP in with some assistance. Maybe have a boost up slightly late. Ponalone hasn't seen anything, but knows there's long presence.
Get boosted up by DJ. Looking for his kill, and he'll find it. Farlig down. Another great start for EG in this round, and the slow pacing from Astralis doesn't get any faster thanks to that. Got to take that on the chin. Just work from it from there.
Decent timing on the boost, because if Astralis would have been further up towards that boost position, they probably could have trade fragged and dropped the AWP. Jonji even coming through for Connector. There's no lurk. They don't even know that he's here.
Yeah, Zipex had absolutely no inkling. No possibility that they could have been a player in Connector. Didn't know about Ponalone at least. A quick swing from Glaive. There's that frag, 4-on-3. You can turn it to evens, but DJ has the jump on him. Config and Blame F. Depending on where they want to work in from Jonji in the midst of this smoke will catch Config off in the end, so there's no way back in for Blame F. He's been stellar, so if there's one player in this server I trust in a 1v4, it would be him. But now with that kill, with 16 seconds on the clock, it should be easy pickings for Evil Geniuses to lock out their positions and just hold the round.
And just trying to see if we can get away with as much damage if at all possible. And not going to try and attempt to go out towards that B side. Probably would have had a decent chance of getting over to that bomb quickly, going out towards B. Wasn't sure if there was a heaven rotate though, so just opts to bring that AK into the next round. And Evil Geniuses find their 6th, and I think it's very similar signs to what we saw in the MIBR and big game on Nuke, where very dominant, one-sided first half. You've got some wiggle room. You get off to a good start into the second, and you can make it look more positive than it actually is.
Well, they haven't lost a round so far in the second half. So for Evil Geniuses, it's all positives for now. Positives in the buy-ups as well. Hero AK for Blame F. They tried this earlier on EG's D side when Jonji had the rifle. Wasn't as successful there. Let's see whether Astralis can change their own narrative on that sense. Fast plays into the default, into connector, into the short control ahead of that smoke that was put up by the T side. The CTs will try and gain information on Bentley's part. He sees nothing though.
Jonji just flashing him forwards, peeks out towards connector. It's information, but he gets spotted. Blame F. They don't know about this walk forward and the AK for the entry.
Close angle from Bentley, and Viz goes for the info play, trying to get down towards Monster, looks towards that position, and get cut off at the short position instead. Another reboost, this could be interesting. They see Blame F, and now they can disrupt that whole play. Or do they? They're going to continue to commit here. Blame's going to give it a second, and eventually look up. What does he see? Nothing.
Look at DJ, though. He has walked all the way forward out towards this fountain and party position. They know it's got to be a B play, Jay. They've got so much information here. He can just hold and wait for any connector play to come back up to A. If so, just stack it on B.
They're still going to go passive on the B defensive, so the utility, if it's thrown correctly, can still send them back. They can get a bomb plant at the very least out of this round for Astralis. Bentley trying to hide away at water, peeking in ahead of the smokes. Jonji will get dealt with. Blame F detected, but still not dead. Players charging forward, has Config getting the next kill, and DJ being left alone at 7 points of health. Pwn alone going to fall out of there and save the weapon. No way back in for Evil Geniuses. And that passiveness, despite having the stack involved, is going to lose in their first of the half.
And this round is a prime example of just because you've got the right read, just because you've got the right setup to do the job, you don't always do it. You had the info play coming through from DJ. If there was any movement up towards the top of Con, they could have rotated players off of B. If not, you could have held, and instead they just get overwhelmed. Even the NWP out towards Long, doesn't actually go down, so he might be able to hold on to it.
They'll hunt him. They've still got a fair bit of time to go for the kill here for the Astralis side. Glaive in particular leaning in from that connector position. Poland doesn't know where to look, doesn't know where to go. Tech9 and M4 leaning forward. He does catch that shoulder shot and does get Zipex. Okay, there you go, Pone. A little bit of impressiveness. 11 kills on the board for him, matching some of his top fraggers. Unfortunately for EG, though, it's not good enough to be able to hold the round together. We mentioned that economy game as well, where it hadn't built up that much more since when we checked in with it last. So this buy is going to look at least weakened, if not weak.
Absolutely. And that kind of shows you that anti-ecos aren't throwaway rounds. They're not those rounds where, oh, okay, we're not up against much, let's just get it over and done with, because now you can see the knock-on effect. The fact that the previous rifle round didn't exactly have a mass amount of players staying alive. Astralis with the quick B play, getting the Mac 10 into the right position. Okay, they put a lot of pressure onto the AWP and they don't drop it, so there's not that extra added bonus. But as a whole, Astralis could be very happy with that round.
I can imagine there's a moment's respite here given up to the Evil Geniuses side. Necessary to have discussions at this point. Necessary to figure out a new game plan because they are running out of time. Best of one can slip away from them and their best crack at getting started here in the Pinnacle Cup Championship. They fall by the wayside to the hands of Astralis. Utility in, buy is indeed weak for them. There is still an AK and an AWP staying in, but the FAMAS and the SMG, if either of those two weapons had fallen in the previous round, like, that could have meant a disaster buy for the Evil Geniuses. And they're going to press forward to try and utilize the best that they can. That FAMAS Viz strikes first.
Yeah, crazy unorthodox right there for Evil Geniuses. So they put the monster smoke down from the CT perspective and flash over the top of it, and you've got to have that realization. When you're not working with the best weaponry, you've got to make a play. You've got to take the risk, and going through Monster grants them an opening pick for Viz.
Down to 22 HP for it, so got to rest heavily on his teammates to do the work. Minute on the clock, and there's Blame with the shot onto Bentley. So a 4-on-4, and Viz is still held out here towards Toxic. Glaive working in, flashes, they'll keep one player held at bay, and they'll make some noise towards it, and still Viz gets away with a decent kill. Farlig with the AWP shot, and now's Jonji's chance to strike. He's waiting with that bomb, just getting picked up. Farlig has no idea, nades up, but it's not even going down towards default. Back behind the pillar, Jonji can strike, bring it back to the advantage, but not for long. Farlig back involved, can't get the flick on DJ, so it's also Blame F for his 26th and 27th kill in this map-up. Watch out the site. Prepare to receive the two CTs inbound. Smokes go down. And they start the walk forward. Diffuse kit on both. Tapped once. Pwn alone watching with the AWP. It'll be blind sprays back and forth from both sides. They'll stick the whole thing. Pwn alone making noise! Oh my god, Blame F! You can't blame anyone for EG for making that mistake. That was a ridiculous play.
What do you say? What do you say? You just got spammed twice like that. You have nightmares. Nightmares against that one because, like you said, Jay, you can't blame them. They didn't do anything wrong there. They smoke off Blame F. They go, right, we're going to tap the bomb once. We're going to draw the fight out into the open. And he finds both. He finds two. And, of course, Blame F, just added more to the tally. Give him 30. Come on.
That was pure silliness. But pure perfection from him. the bright star on Astralis. And now charging their way forward here, looking to try and end it. Number 16 there forward, BLUEJAYS for another transfer. 29 now, looking for number 30. Glaive giving his best shot to try and get through the smoke against Donji. Tapping, bursting, getting that kill in the end. Leaving it all to two members of the EG side to most likely fall down and get picked apart by the AWP and such. Pone alone, way too long range to use this Mag 7, and it will be Astralis to close this one out in style at 60-6 above Evil Geniuses. Optimism's probably a bit too optimistic from everyone out here in Lund, and certainly it was a result that you could have seen coming.
Yeah, it was a good effort right here for Evil Geniuses. I thought we saw some glimpses, Jay, over the course of this entire map, but Astralis were the outclassing element, and my goodness, BLUEJAYS was just an absolute tank. Pone alone, just trying to make anything happen, but it's not going to be. And then
as a unit, so this is going to be a first run to forget, I feel like, in this opening map. I'm riding Imperial all the way. Finest on the T side start of things, already losing their first fall and full shots out of the round.
Yeah, very quick out for the long take there from Finest, being able to get Anarkez down towards a pit, get a twist on a jump up just to spot if anyone's out towards that car position. And for Imperial, knowing they got that opening fight, they can actually play this very retake heavy. They've got nades for both Fallen and Vinny, and they've got the kit to work with.
Continuous flashes coming in from the man himself. Fnatic's going to back his main man up. Smokes up to the cross, and Twist to be able to get the cross pretty effectively. They'll tap through those pistols, and then they can catch something through the smoke. Unable to do so, though. Fur back to Gandalf. Waiting for Finest to make their moves in. Bomb can go down safe at default. That's the right call.
And they've got to deal with that player out towards Get Right, though. That's Fur. Finally been isolated out to the open and pushed down. Twister's going to find the pick.
4 versus 4, making it 4 on 3 as Kriaz and Plestin also chime in. And just like that, Finest are taking the fight back to Imperial, but so's Vinny. Tapping his way through, getting 2 back-to-back heads, but not able to get the next 2 he needs to win the pistol. It's going to go the way of Finest.
Now you can hear there, up on screen, the coach, Bogdan, the newer guy that comes through from the Finest side. What I think's fascinating is he's only coached Polish teams. He's done Aves, he's done Honorus, he's done Illumina. Now he's getting a bit of a taste here on Finest, and I mean, there's not even a Polish player. You'd think, oh, maybe there's some connection somewhere. He's having a stint in EU.
No, I mean, it's such a weird sort of dynamic as a result. I mean, to be fair, it is an international roster with such a mix of players, and it is core Sweden to be credit, but they've got such a diverse sort of group of players in that sort of sense. So seeing how that's going to impact the dynamics around the Finest camp, who have constantly been known for chopping and changing players as well. Like, it doesn't surprise me they'd bring in a coach a few days before LAN, but that's a bit of a difference from what we've seen so far this year. These guys haven't made a roster change in 3 months.
Do you know what's insane too about Finest? We always talk about the tier 2 teams grinding events, playing every event under the sun, playing as many officials as possible. They've played 3 best of ones this entire year. How has that happened? They played like hundreds, right, of maps when it's in best of 3 contexts, but not in best of 1s. And for Imperial, they've played 18 so far this year.
Yeah, and as a result, you can sort of take a look at things and consider what the instability of those best of 1 results could mean. I mean, it could also apply the vice versa way for Imperial, because we all know that best of 1s are super unpredictable, even at the best of times, even at the best of tournaments. So it is one of those things that, unlike the EG side, which you talked about earlier, they've only lost 4 best of 1s now over the course of this year. Like, you haven't got the same sort of results to pull from when it comes to that unpredictable nature of Finest, but at least they've got that good start, right? They got that pistol down by a man so early, Storm back on the A side, able to get those trades and able to get back control of the situation. If they can continue to do that, then this map could still be positive for them. Pavlos mentioned it over on the desk. Dust 2, it is their home turf.
Well, they played it last night. We actually saw them pick it against the 30th best ranked team in the world of Sprout. They ended up getting a 13-16 loss on Dust 2, 11-4 up on the T side, struggled on their CT side. So now I start wondering, Jay, is that going to be a carry-on? I'm sure they would have had a conversation. I'm sure they would have been able to try and see, okay, we know our T side's solid, we'll work on the CT side later on. They've got to bring that come this game here.
Look, if they're going to float it in against a team like Imperial, you must imagine that there must be some amount of confidence in this map up. And in general, like, obviously we saw them play it last night, but what's their map of Dust 2 like in the tier 2 teams that they play?
It's not bad, mate. It's a pretty good map. It's their 2nd highest pick map in the pool. So you keep that in mind to think, okay, they actually pick Dust 2 quite a lot. They play it quite heavily. This is a comfortable territory. The uncomfortable nature is the team they're playing.
Absolutely. Again, experience trumps all in the Imperial side, and let's see whether that experience will come to the fold against the likes of Finest. We've got Pleasant first up and out into the long control. Seeing no CTs, because there's no CTs here. Not in long, not in A, not in this entire half of the map. In fact, not even anywhere outside of the B site.
And just knowing that there's a few players here on Finest that have never played a LAN outside of their own country. That comes through from Anarkez, that comes through on players like Shox, that comes from Plessen as well. That all of those guys, maybe they've played on a Swedish LAN, or they've played in an Israeli LAN, or an Estonian LAN. They've never played on a European LAN in a European team.
Chance available for them to prove themselves to the world. Again, the world is their oyster for Finest today. And over the course of the rest of the weekend. Open site, that's definitely their oyster, one to take. Nothing that the Imperial side can challenge. And it's an eco base, as they haven't invested that much at all. USPs brought forward and mowed down, as you would expect. At least one kill goes the way of Bolts. That's a slight positive entity. If they can get that AK, that'd be even better. But they're just going to suppress with the util, the burst fire from Twist. Should be able to get that weapon back. Shox and Lead will look for it. Make sure that all the main rifles stay in for the Finest side. Not much for Imperial in this one. 2-0 start, and the guns can come through safely.
And if you're maybe not too familiar with Finest, remember Israeli Org used to have an Israeli team for a very long portion of time, and it did take a little while. I mean, we certainly saw last year how many roster changes had come through from the team. One of the highest in all of Tier 2, you'd have to say, in Europe, of how many chopping and changings we had of that rotating door. But it feels like finally they've cracked a 5-man lineup that they're satisfied with, because we haven't seen a roster change for quite a while.
And they still kept those Israeli roots as well in Anarkez.
Yeah, so that's very true.
Doing work right now, one of a handful of Israeli players who are doing decently on the international stage. It's Kriaz and Twist to be the first couple of players involved for the opening duels of Finest. The Kriaz to fall to the likes of Fur to get traded back immediately. A 4-on-4 is gained. With long control for Finest, they're not tentative on taking all sorts of control though. They'll creep their way up slowly to the corner.
And just simplicity with that long take. Get the long corner smoke down, flash high over the top, trade 1-for-1, Shox out for mid, should get caught. That's a very good pick coming through from Vinny. And now with the lurk dealt with, it falls down to the long players to make action.
Yeah, great stuff. Back to the advantage of Imperial once again. The utility is being set up, however, again, they've got long house control, they've got top long control. Smoke to the cross, it's worked in the pistol, but they've got an advanced angle for Fallen, and he can take Plessen back. So now left to Twist and Anarkez here. Twist the forward man. He has got Fallen on low HP, and FNX with his back turn makes it an easy frag. Vinny with a fast response, so it's all left to Twist. And he's not going to make much happen here. Fallen with the final frag of the round in the first round for Imperial.
And I think that really just showed how important that mid kill was to come in for Vinny. First of all, it dealt with the lurk, and second off, it just gave a lot of information. It realized that the A players needed to buckle in. They knew that the long take was going to come in. You saw Fallen playing very defensive, playing around the util, a lot of spam coming through, and then even that pounce, that slight acceleration of the flash through the smoke, a lot of distraction being pulled up there on A from Imperial.
It's a good start for them. Again, shut down the rifles. With rifles, there'll be a rebuy back for Finest, expecting some sort of mid play, but there is no AWP to challenge the mid doors. They'll sit passive in these spawn and suicide angles, but see nothing of the CT side. Imperial have their standard defensive setup, a 1-2-2. It's got bolts on that B side, the most exploitable part of the map right now.
Yeah, haven't seen any walkout towards that upper tunnels over towards B. Haven't really seen much mid-pressure other than that last round. Fur gonna get flashed in, well done, but Shox actually doesn't peek with it. They were trying to see if they could bait at least some gunfire, and they actually didn't get anything, so they might not know he's there.
Yeah, flash is going over as they continue to try to look forward in the CT forces. Twist taking angles as Imperial try and take stock in the defense, seeing nothing so far. They are hearing footsteps though, that should be some info gained.
And they're draining a fair amount of util to follow Fur with this HE placement. This could be chunky.
Not that much, unfortunately. Finest back up. The right call at the right time, taking no damage. They need to start thinking about the execution. They've only got this mid control.
Yeah, Bolts is one of the defenders over towards B and only has a smoke, so get a couple of smokes down towards that right-hand side. And now there's not even a mid player, so Finest have got a lot of map control for free.
Shox to be isolated, 2 utility thrown down, the 2 smokes in at the CT spawn. 2 players to deal with on the B side, all sorts of 2s, 20 seconds on the clock. Vinny executes 2 individuals. Twist and Anarkez get lost as the Shox go down. 2 left here for the Finest camp, but they've been shut down in this round. Imperial will take their second. They've got no choice but to save here in Kriaz and Plessen. And Plessen doesn't even have a rifle as well.
Very difficult to make anything happen. Try and see if he could fight out a duel towards the city spawn. Fur might even drop him after time. That could be huge, just decimating the economy entirely. Plessen, does he stay alive? Oh, just
From there, it all falls apart. Tech9 will stay in. The AK, of course, saved by Kriaz. A scout brought down by Anakez will try to do something. The AK at first, standing with you two. We didn't see the players incoming. Plesson can get that kill. Look towards the A site where Fallen is standing by to receive them. Gets his double. Shocks trades. FNX trying to look out of the longhouse, dealing with Kriaz. That one AK, but twists Deagle. Chimes back into evens. Bomb will go down.
This is an excellent force buy so far, but now they've really got to deliver up in the post plant. Try and slow it down. Get the rifle in a good position.
Seen the head for FNX, but can't connect the shot. Twist still watching out with his pistol in play, and he'll get a headshot as will Shocks. And that will be a steal for Finest to force investment. It works well. They maintain the lead.
That's a classic that we would say we see in the Pinnacle Cups online, right? Some of those force buys, light on investment, don't have a lot to work with, and Finest are no strangers to them. They've played in the last 2 Pinnacle Cups, the 4th one in which was the one that got them here to the event, winning it entirely. Dust 2, last map. 3rd map in the best of 3 series against Eternal Fire in the grand finals, 16-14. It was a close one.
The thing as well, they beat Eternal Fire, right? Like, they've been to the major, and although there wasn't the greatest run of the major, that's still a powerful team, and in the online space especially, they do wonders.
Hey, they beat Spirit in the first round. They 2-0'd Spirit. Up there from Fur, make the info play, dip in, dip out, get out of there immediately, hold on to the man advantage. Finest have been consistently targeting this long control, and Imperial aren't really giving them too much of a fight at long. Instead, they're giving the freedom for them to take it for free.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the pistol, they've been pretty good at defending from the back of the smokes, one of which will go down, and Fallen actually might press forward of it. Secondary smoke comes out in the end. That's actually a flashbang, excuse me. I don't know where that second smoke landed. It might not even have been thrown. Anakez lurks forward, takes some damage, sees at least 2 players looking for Fur here on the short position, runs out of ammo, and gets even more tagged up to 4 HP. Kriaz is forced to respond as the CTs continue to hold their own. Boost up for the M4, sees the head of Shocks, drops that bomb. Plesson took some tags as well. Further utility coming in with that HE. Kriaz is forced to try and bag, and the bomb will get planted in the end.
Oh, Plesson's got to get one. Surely try and strike out from the car, and he's got Kriaz on the side.
2v2, sees the head of Bolts, but is unable to do much with it. It's all Kriaz now. On for the 4K, swings out, sees one, but just can't get the head he needs. And Imperial will equalize at 3-3.
Yeah, definitely a scrappy round there from Finest, and it comes down to a situation where I think they wanted to peek before that second smoke goes down. Get Anakez in a position to maybe catch one of the CT players with a knife out or over in the open. He doesn't quite find that connection to the short angle, and because of that, they struggled to find composure on the side. Even Plesson, for him to get a 1-for-1 in that car, he did as much as he could. It came down to Kriaz. The clutch doesn't come in, and we're tied up at 3 apiece.
Indeed we are, keeping pace. Finest might have gained the early lead, but Imperial not willing to let them get away with it. T-side reduced to pistols now. The Deagle's in for Pleston and Shock, saving for the guns. They got that bomb plant bonus, so the money line still looks decent. If they invest here, they lose the chance to get the AWP out. Kriaz is at 4,300, so he'll bring that weapon to the fold.
Imperial trying to see if they could put some nades in towards that longhouse. Overall, from Finest, you're looking for some exploitations. They know that, obviously, there was aggression towards top mid come the last round. Want to try and see if they can find some picks, make it as damaging as possible.
The lean forward for now. Does get tagged up, 40 HP. Matches in for him and Vinny as they'll lean together, but the teams have taken the advantage that they've had to force those players out of position, take their position up on short. Try play in towards the A site. Shocks, however, caught by the backstab of FNX and Fallen again with the lineups, makes it a triple. Fur with his own frag. I mean, no major casualties, no major damage being done to Imperial here. All 5 alive, and the pistols get locked out.
And when we think about goals, expectations, something that we went into detail with Evil Geniuses for Finest, they've just made top 30 on HLTV. That's got to be a massive goal for a team like that, because we've always looked at Finest and said, all right, they're a decent contender, but when's that next step? Getting that higher end of Tier 2 is very difficult, and for Finest, this sort of event, knowing it's their first international LAN, could be that opportunity to use some of the experience of not only Twist, but the Tier 2 players, and put it in this sort of an environment.
I do feel like there's there's a level of inflation to that top 30 position for finals,
Possibly.
right? Because they did win a Pinnacle Cup, but the tournaments prior to that point weren't exactly 100% there.
That is true.
A lot of failed open qualifiers. They came last place in Challenger. So it's not like they've had the best of performances leading into this tournament, which is the one thing that has me concerned, and the reason why the desk was saying they're probably the weakest team in show.
Sometimes you need the run, though, and I think we've seen that before. We saw it in the Pinnacle Cup, the fact that you play Spirit, TYLOO, Movistar Riders, Eternal Fire, all decent teams there in the playoffs and still come through on top. Now gives yourself a bit of a hope, a bit of a glimmer. Kriaz striking out towards long, just spamming through that long smoke.
Hell of a way to kick off the 8th round. They're going to continue with that aggression. Twist out towards the mid door. Vinny has other plans. Makes it a double. Looking for the triple, in fact. Danakis drops, and so does Kriaz, so does Shox. That is decimation from Imperial.
Come on. Come on, you got to rip in a little bit there and think, okay, Kriaz got you an opportunity, got you a strike out towards long. Where's the util? It's so dry. They thought as if because there was 2 players towards long that they could have caught a timing. As soon as Twist goes down, it's individual faces. It's offering up jewels. There's no util in the matter. And Finest have got to be kicking themselves because that was such a great start to the round by Kriaz.
An opening frag that you don't lose off the back of usually. Take that longhouse control, go from there, but go back into mid and go back into the worst player possible, it feels like. And back to the pistols is where Finest will be. Not like it stopped Pleston. The eagle shot on Fur. FNX with 2 back on the turn. Flash forward in towards that mid control, aware of their progress up towards Catwalk. Still, Bolts is going to hold his own. Anakez will get a trade. Does make it a 2-on-3, so Imperial haven't gotten away completely unscathed. Anakez will try cross with the bomb, try and make his way up towards the side, but it's been marked by the AWP, so it's all Kriaz. Deagle in hand for the clutch.
And this is where I think we see the momentum shift, where Imperial start coming into their own, keeping more players alive, making the rounds more deadly. Kriaz is trying to isolate a fight with the Dig. They get away with a couple of kills, so they make it slightly expensive. As an overall picture, though, you think about what Imperial are bringing to the table, and it's looking good so far.
Oh, certainly.
I mean, they lost Pistol, they lost the Anti-Ecos, they were down 0-2, they're now up 6-3. At least from a scoreline perspective, looks very positive.
Yeah, again, to maintain control of the situation when they lost that early lead and then to gain it back above the Finest side. Everything played perfectly there for Imperial to lead them into this position now with their 3 rounds ahead. Pleston, first man out, sees 1 player. Again, into the longhouse, they'll look to go. The nades will do some damage towards him, they're aware. Incendiaries are counteracted by the smokes put down by the T-side line, so Pleston can escape with his life.
Now, this is one of the first times they've been a little bit more on the back foot with the long take first. Still trying to see if he can spam out to the back of the blue bin. Pleston's going.
Reaggressing, trying to look for his man and gets that kill. Has FNX with a higher HP. Jump face round the corner to try bait in some sort of shot, maybe for an AWP, which will get here. 3 players still on long. Mid and B are very exposed on the CT defense.
Now, they could retake this long control if they really wanted to. And Kriaz and Pleston have got a decent crossfire to deal with the CTs, even the Molly to Car.
Here at one angle. How does Pleston face this? How does he survive against both FNX and Vinny? Well, apparently they don't. Anakez, Pleston, Kriaz running into the meat grinder. Just like that, Imperial get back control. Nades will be sent down to the site as Twist attacks from short, but the bomb's been dropped at long. Shox can strike on Bolts at least, clear up the 1 rotator, but still got to deal with that long force. 40 seconds to do it.
God, this is done. There's no way you can recover this round. It's already been smoked off. You probably just have to try and back off and save. It's so difficult to recover it. And for Imperial's sake, it just felt as if they were in the right position at the right time. There wasn't a crazy amount of util for Finest to work with, but at the same point, Jay, it's very dry in some of these situations.
Again, overwhelming from the Imperial side, and you mentioned how they haven't really challenged the long control. They've been giving that up to Finest quite a lot. The one round where they do force forward with the majority of their players, they just wreck them. Again, 4 Shox and Twist to go for the save, a 7th to the board of Imperial. I believe that's 5 rounds in a row as well. Finest. Definitely the opposite of their namesake right now. Things are very not fun.
No, and we start having to look at certain individuals. Where is Anakez? We know he has been a very, very capable AWPer in the Tier 2 scene. We saw him on the Secret team with Duran Flatru and Synopsy there. We saw him in Hellraisers playing with the CIS team, Lingby Vikings for a little bit, and he's their highest rated player on Dust 2, averages a 1.17 rating, 12 maps played in the last 3 months, and as of right now, you need him at the helm. He's only managed 1 kill, Jay.
A tactical timeout for Finest to figure out how they can enable him or what else they can do to try and outplay the opposition. Imperial most certainly are looking like they're all right. Discussion definitely feels tense over in that side. A lot of emphasis on that long control, right? And again, that was the key point the finalists were able to utilize, that they were able to get so much long control and play on the pistol because of that. Is that the angle they should go with here, Dwayne?
Well, the angle could be, okay, what do we need to change and adjust with our adaptability of taking the long control? But if they are really taking it and there's not really much we can do against it, do we go quicker mid? I mean, so far their mid takes have unfortunately not been that successful, but at the same time, throw a little bit more utility behind it and it could be.
They have guns for this round, so they can definitely do whatever they want to. No limitations of firepower, all down to the execution here for Finest. And this is the most passive that we've seen them play. All held outside along for 4 individuals. One man lurking in the lower tunnels. But no contact and no aggressive face. It's a similar story for Imperial.
Yeah, even for FNX, he's going to have to get forced back. He's the only player at long without any util now. Vinny waiting for a cross or a slight jiggle of information. Get those double AWPs out and try and get him striking.
Footstep heard. Shock's going to bait in those shots. As the AWP is out towards mid, the smokes go down towards the long corner. Imperial fall back and regroup as Finest just fall away. They've made a lot of noise, drawn a lot of attention. They're not going to do anything with it, though.
The issue is, now look at what's remaining. You've got a single smoke, and that is it for Finest. They're going to have to dig deep and hit hard. In a round like this, you need your individuals to really step up. Your trading game's got to be on point, and even leaning back out towards the B site. As soon as Bolts gets contact, he can just re-smoke off the upper tunnels.
He's going to do that right now here. Maybe a little bit premature. But one more smoke on further. He could just quickly peek back in with the support now of Vinny, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Bolster that B site. So this smoke towards doors is going to be pretty useless. Fur with a nade. Ready to receive. Puts that up to position as Blessing strikes on Bolt, and that's a lot of damage being done. The Molotov might just tear them up. Fur does so. A 4-on-4 situation. 15 seconds to go back in with another resmoke. FNX continuing with the backstab. They have no idea. And Fur still knocking them down. FNX deals with Kriaz. And Shox is left out towards mid. Caught off on the lurk. With the main force dying, there is nothing he can do.
They've been outclassed by experience, and right there, they're not baiting enough util. Because they showed long presence and they didn't show anything in mid, they didn't find enough out of Shox on the lurk, you're not drawing the util. There's, what, 40-odd seconds left on the clock? A resmoke goes down from the backside player of Bolt, and then, like you mentioned, Fur's got the util. He's got a smoke, he's got a HG, he's got an incendiary. There is so much util on that mid player that they end up just cancelling. Twist gets run out, and everybody else is thinking, do we go? Do we go back? Because you're limited on the time, you're also limited on the options.
Mowed down again. Once again, they try and play into the CT side, and once again, they just get hit hard by the M4s. Already, Vinny has taken Pleston's life. Finest didn't have much to work with in this round to begin with, but now it's even less. Scout thrown over to Anakez to get something, anything out of him.
Yeah, Vinny been very consistent so far out from this mid-control, always being a nuisance. A very capable secondary AWPer, that hybrid entity that Imperial can work with, especially on a map like Dust 2. And it's so passive right now for Imperial. Even these upgraded ecos are just trying to create a jewel.
Smokes are set, it's fallen, wins the sniper battle. Doubles up on Twist. Makes it look easy as well. Incendiary's held back, nades back, Kriaz leaning forward, Molotov's sent down, and he'll just continue to jump face forward. Shox with the AK. Strike. Lose a lot of HP for his own money, and eventually will fall to the trade. The scout Kriaz doesn't get much, doesn't get anything.
And 9 on the board for Imperial, and for Finest, we've obviously seen a fair amount of adaptation. The entry frags have been slightly uneasy. And when you just think about, not even from the scoreline perspective, but that shift, that first maybe 4-5 rounds of the game felt very close, felt very competitive. These last handful of rounds have been anything but that, completely the opposite.
And in general, the streak has just continued. Imperial, 6 rounds on the trot, I believe. Finest. They're certainly in trouble. Kriaz does at least strike first on FNX. Fur can get the responsive. Just immediately then dipping in, dipping out, falling back to position, ready to receive them. Finest actually going to give chase this time. The 3 players are looking the wrong way, and Twist gets nothing for it. The AWP had just fallen, gets 2, wins the AWP battle against Danikez, and it's disaster for Finest again.
Oh my goodness, what a round. And one moment we didn't even capture was Bolts clearing the upper tunnels. There was so much information right there from Imperial of, oh, it's got to be a long take, and there's a slight timing. Yeah, Bolts clears out the upper tunnels. They don't realize there's a short commitment, and for Finest, they buckle it. That is the chance. That is the window. And when you're facing a team like Imperial, you've got to take that opportunity. Great AWPing coming out from Fallen, just continuing to rail off the shots and find the connections.
That's so disappointing as well, because all 3 players from Imperial were looking up long. They thought short was completely safe. Oh, that nade doesn't quite get shots on this occasion. The follow-up should do. Oh, also not. Imperial continuing to charge forward. They do lose that opening fight against Danikez. So again, the hand cannon's brought up as he looks like he's had enough. Can he get enough in this round?
And it's done some damage out to Vinny towards the bottom of mid control, and even that HE not bouncing back, at least the incendiary is to slow it down. Danikez to work with the M4A1S. This is promising. They've got to find some more though.
Yeah, 5 on 4, still with a player being low HP for Shox. There are 2 tagged up individuals from Imperial, and Vinny is on a similar line towards Shox. Both players on the sniper as well. The AWP can do one better. Finest set utility up to go towards the mid to be play. I've got players up on the split as well. Danikez leaning in with Twist. That smoke about to fade. Spot 2, again struggle with the spray, again struggle with the kill. Get caught up on your teammates. Another lineup for Bolts who gets a 1, a 2, a 3. And everybody just... It's again the same story for Finest, right? They have that moment, they have that opportunity. At least Kriaz can try to recover it. I think Bolts might have heard the man. He certainly has now and will get overwhelmed, but he's the last player left for the T side. Got to go back for the bomb in the tunnels, and they'll just charge him from here. AWP is at least recovered. Can you get the kill? I don't think so.
Not to be. Kriaz not bad with the AWP, but in a situation like that, you're just trying to present the fights. And as an overall marker, I think the issue that we're seeing from Finest is hesitation. And that might be the inexperience to play on LAN, to be in this sort of an environment, is that you've got Danikez wanting to cancel, but then the rest of the team wanting to go. And it's those slight moments of hesitation where you can just get capitalized on. You think about the util point, Bolts had nothing. He had a HE and that was it. Even his teammate that was out towards the doors that fell had hardly anything either. That was one of the rare cases that the B site players did not have mass util. And for Imperial, Bolts just makes that look easy when really it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, another tactical called in by Finest, and what was set to be, at least over on Pinnacle, a dead set even match turns to a one-sided affair. 11-3. Look at that big wall of blue on the top of your screen as well. Like, it really has been a dominating affair.
Yeah. No, it has, and they've been outclassed, and it does separate the strong from the weak in the best of ones, and it definitely feels as if, other than the opening game that we had to start off the day, we have seen some stompers. Bolts putting in some early util, even looking to follow, maybe get further aggressive behind the util.
And 4 in, and Flexen out, and Twist out as well. Shox with a trade. Smokes will come down, but the nades will come back and respond, and Vinny will try and hold the defensive. Smokes will block off vision for the T side at least. He's got a good read onto where they're playing from. Spot Danikez, Shox for the trade. As Kriaz has fallen, it's all left to Shox to ace clutch this round. It will be the most magical ace if he can pull it off. But I have my doubts here. First, so close.
Get a smoke down, try and buy some more cover. He needs fights. And just with Imperial, knowing that there's still 3 alive, they can slow this down completely.
Flash in, trying to indicate they're going to go for the entry. Shox will challenge Fallen and lose it. Great kill for him. Brilliant stuff in general for Imperial. The defensive held, the retake held. When you have a 1 versus 3 like that, it's so difficult to win it. He was already tagged in the interim, so even if he faced against one of the rifles, it's likely that kill would have gone the way of Imperial anyway.
And we could sit here and say, oh, there's been some chances, we've seen some very good moments. There has been from Finest, but you also need to look at it from the other point of view and think Imperial were just class. They really played well in that first half. Once they got that streak going and they had the confidence behind them, they played as a unit. They peaked off each other really well. They were multi-fragging. Their util usage was on point. And we just saw a lot of stacks coming involved. Finest not getting the players fired up and ready to go. And just knowing the start of this match, I thought we'd get more from Finest.
Yeah, I mean, I thought so too. I thought so too. That's not been the case though, unfortunately, has it? 12-3 and a lot of work to do on the CT side. A ridiculous comeback for Finest. One that I doubt they can pull off. USP is charging up. Vinny, pistol pulled in, ready for the stack angle, ready to receive the T-side members. Flexen, deals with him. Effective. Good start.
A desperation coming through from Finest, realizing, okay, we need an info play. We need something to strike out towards long. Even Furs just pulling more distraction and deals with Krias. That keeps the A site open while the rest of the T's are still in the upper tunnel.
It's not getting much better, is it? Oh, disaster. Oh, disaster. Taps the shocks. Spots another. Unable to get the kills against them. Twisted 19 HP. Imperial just counter-rotate back into a very open A-bomb site. Twister with the next player on the defensive, but again, he's so low, and he's the only man that's there. And Anakez will look to join him. Taps forward, need a kill, not going to get it. Fur will get dropped by Anakez at least, who doubles up. Finally, some big moments from him at last. A 2 versus 3 still have to deal with. And the block of Vinny trying to strike Anakez with another good headshot. Needs to get Fallen next, unable to do so. Shocks now, sandwiched between the last 2 players of the T-side forces. Sees Fallen's head, jump facing, challenging bolts. Needs the one tap desperately, but he's just not going to get it. And Imperial will win the pistol regardless.
That's an incredible effort coming through from Anakez. There really was not a lot of positives in that round. The fact that you've lost your 2 side A players as quickly as it happened, he had to try and make something magical. He finds 3, it's still not enough. And for Imperial, it really felt as if the idea in the pistol was sell the distraction out to long, try and do some damage, we're going to end up on B. What they end up finding is they haven't over-rotated. So, okay, we've got the Goosh down in mid, let's work with the advantages we already found and make our way over to A instead.
You've got a force by Finest. No choice in the matter. No way they can really take control if they don't. Now play it slow on the Imperial side, knowing that this could be the momentum shift for Finest all the same. All they got to do is lock down the round, make it confident, give it no room to breathe.
Imperial just trying to see if they can continue to put the pressure on, keep the streak going. Even Twist getting down towards an aggressive position from the short position. And Pleston out from mid. If they can pull a distraction and try and force the T's out to mid, it could open up that cheeky left-hand position for Anakez.
Trying to find something here. The problem is they're smoked at the doors and the T's are not going to extend ahead of that smoke. No further opportunities. The taps will continue from Pleston. But just gaining nothing at all here. A man walks forward, FNX, caught off, okay. Finally, something decent for the City side. Fallen, putting the knock smoke back in as the 2 players looked across. There's a crossfire, however, from Krias and co. They'll get Vinny, look for Fallen next. It's right below the Xbox. He does get his kill, but no more than that. Okay, 4 on 2, bomb drop, 20 seconds. Finest trying to pull this off.
Yeah, of course they have. They put so much pressure down, and it was obviously a very good read. You had a couple of mid players built in with a couple of aggressive short players. And just knowing that Imperial are trying to take back that Xbox control, they want to split up towards the A site when you've got that many players all around, and especially Anakez to make the info play and drop the bomb. It's wild to think he was the one that initiated the first duel, dropped the bomb. He somehow still found 2 in that round.
Let's go.
There you go. It's an important round for Finest to find in general. The Eagles doing work. It's a big recovery moment for them and everything. Again, they needed a round like that because had they let the conversion fall out, had they let the eco come to fruition, they would have been fighting for overtime from a 15-3 deficit, and that's just impossible. Put the onus back onto Imperial, who have their scout and their AK. Force buy in against them. Anakez will already take down Fallen, kick things off on the right foot.
And no respect come this round, really charging up from the top of the mid position, shows what Finest want to try and achieve in this second half. A nice kill down onto Fur, and pretty much that's all the rifles dealt with now.
Yeah, 2v5. Go for 1v5, FNX with a scout. Trying to look in, does do some damage to a player. Still being flanked, still being tagged up. Meanwhile, Vinny won't get caught off in the end, FNX will drop. That D will be all that remains. Bomb in full CT control, no casualties taken. If they can keep it that way, that'd be great, and indeed they will be able to do so. So anti-force buy dealt with, and now comes the eco round for the Imperial side. Just that one. Just that one. That's all they need to take.
And what we've really seen from some of the underdog teams so far in the best of ones, Jay, is obviously having very small margins of breathing room. I think right here now for Finest, Imperial aren't up to 15, so you've got a little bit to work with. You're now getting a couple of rounds in a row. You've obviously reset the economy from Imperial, so it's going to have to be an eco round. They can't force again. And now, what I want to see is Finest comfortable, because that is the Finest that we've come here to see. Obviously, it's very difficult to say, right, just turn it on, just play comfortable, because it is a very fresh and new environment for this team and for some of the players. But if we see Finest play the comfortable style of Counter-Strike they play online, we might get more positivity and a better look for them.
Well, look, they've got reason to be positive now, right? Like, they've got an opportunity to start to bring the comeback. They've won an all-important anti-eco. They've converted it off the back of that as well. Great chance now with only Glocks being pulled in, so they can work into the 6th round on their side. If they can do that, then it just starts to build the comeback, and that's all you need to do from here. Take it round by round, build in piece by piece. Come up with a game plan from there. So the nades already doing their damage. Bolt's fallen, Vinny all tagged up by a HE.
Yeah, fine. It's not getting too aggressive into the meta, trying to see if they can peek behind the incendiary, try and fight up towards that top mid portion. As a whole, though, for Imperial, I'm not imagining too much success in a round like this. Kriaz maybe getting too hungry for the meta, going out towards a long house, but realizing probably doesn't need to continue peeking. They're going to peek out from mid instead, and they're really trying to show themselves here.
2, 3, easy frags. Bit overly aggressive still from Kriaz, and will get overwhelmed and lose his life, but Anarchez will have the Quadra. Have the round. Can he get the AK? They can get the AK. Yeah. It's Twist that gets it. And that's more than fine for Finest. Again, keep that AK in. Keep that firepower in play. Now use it against the firepower of Imperial, who are now buying into the AKs themselves.
I gotta think, as soon as they've got the money for it and they're in a situation, they're gonna get the double AWP, and here we are. That's exactly what we see. We know that Pleasant can double AWP. We know that Kriaz can double AWP. There is a few players on this Finest side that can pick up the big green.
Pass the parcel, except for adults. A lot more deadly at that as well. This will put Anarchez and Pleasant for the time being. The AK will be over on Kriaz's part, so those are the guys you want to watch out for the most in this round. I'm going to play that AK aggressive again for Kriaz. He's pushed all the way up towards that longhouse angle. And in the last round, it didn't make a lot of sense because it was an eco basis. But if he can hold this angle and try and play off the shadows that the T-side players will make, that could be a great opening start and one that could catch Imperial off guard.
It's not even that. If they get enough information out towards mid, he can actually start walking forward and hope to catch a timing on a big backstab. And Pleston now starting to at least show the presence into mid. And Fur making noise. Krez would have heard that.
Those that are at least behind Car. It's just one set of footsteps. They won't have the info as to whether they're playing up towards mid itself. Anarchez will have the info that they're playing on short at least. Vinny forced him off angle. I don't think Fur made the noise of the rotation towards mid because Kriaz is not moving at all. Pleston's all posted aggressive. Bolt's looking to challenge, but he just can't find the inkling to do so.
I'm surprised how aggressive Pleston is, considering the HP bar's really important to be able to capitalize on this shot and bring that rotation in from Shocks too. Lurk smoke for the T's.
Shot will ring out, so they'll be aware that he's here on B. It's FNX to find Kriaz, meanwhile out towards short. Important start, but Pleston still one to work against. Flashbang evaded, almost lined up 2. Shocks will get the second man, and Fallen gets the trade. A 3-on-3. Shocks flash back in, we'll see 2, but struggles to find the spray, so Fallen can double up, and the man advantage takes the way of Imperial. 10 seconds though, the AWP's on site. Anarchez just going to stall for time, and he looks the wrong way at the wrong time. Fallen will get the kill and the plant down, and Twist will be up for the retake against 2. We'll see Fur as the smoke clears. Will he get the kill? His back will be turned towards Fallen. Now quick 180, trying to isolate the headshot, and he gets him at the right time as Fallen peeks into the spray. And it will be another round for Finest.
Just what they're looking for. And you could just get the sense that before that bomb even went down, they wanted to apply pressure. They don't want to play it passive. They don't want to play the 3v3 retake, slow it down, get the util set up. No, we want to get in there and make it chaotic. Make sure that that bomb doesn't go down, or if it does, it's going to get very pressured. Lovely clutch coming through from the most experienced man on the team of Twist, the caller.
Absolutely. Need him to lead from the front as well. Especially when some of your stars aren't quite performing in their own right. You need to see some leadership and turn the tide in this kind of a matchup. Finest up on the right position. In the right gear, if you will. Charging straight forward. And once again, opening the frag counts here in round 21. Pleston straight and Fallen. Talk about leaders. His leadership cut down in round 21.
Oh, Anarchist double dipping back out here towards the lower tunnel, starting to get some comfortability. Got Plesser with the crossfires, and the Orpers, they're having a field day.
And Kriyas gets one of his own. Little piece of the pie. A small piece at that, because it's a 1v5 now for Vinny. And he might get no pie today. It was apple crumble and you missed out, sir. The number 8 for Finest, and continuing to grind up. And they have done exactly what we talked about. Take it step by step, one round at a time. Let's see if you can just get any trades of Vinny. At least one player will fall in. Kriyas, no more than that, though. The difference has been brought from, what was it, 13 to 3, so 10 round difference, only to 5 now.
It's been quite a lot, and often when we look at those one-sided scorelines, you lose Pistol, you can sometimes pack it in and say, all right, it's done, isn't it? But they lost Pistol, won the Force Buy, and they've been able to turn it around. Really feel the impact of that Deagle round where we saw the aggression out towards mid, we saw the aggression towards short, and scrambling the bomb in and around that Xbox position, and what that tail has been able to filter out to. Imperial, I wouldn't say they're probably sweating it, but they're in a position now where they realise we've got a game on our hands.
Indeed they do. Considering that we were writing them off for 12 to 3, we were just like, right, well, that's a shame. The CT side has really come alive. Maybe it's all in the CT halves today. Certainly on this map, you can make the argument. AWP have fallen again. Going to lose the fight in mid. Pleasant legs him. Doesn't kill him this time. AWP forced to reposition and hold back passive. Evade those nades that are thrown out typically by the CT side. They've been using that same wombo combo over the course of this map. Not to affect in round 22 though.
And that's exactly what you want from your second AWP, consistency. Always fighting in damage, looking for those mid picks, making it uncomfortable from the offense when it comes to the mid control, and then getting back passive when necessary. And Shock's playing out towards the hug on the wall on that right-hand side perspective. Might get mollied on any sort of B contact, and Pleasant's just allowing the walk forward in mid if it comes at all.
Give it up. Ooh, Kriyas with aggressive plays. Fur might catch him off. Yeah. Headshot, landed the wallbang. Dink down, left him at no HP, and now down a player on the CT side. An aggressive player that in the grand scale of things probably wasn't worth it. New smokes up. Vinny is also going to catch off Twist. Now it's all on Anarchist, the AWP that has been so quiet throughout this game, really stepping up lately. Got one more kill to him, but unable to count for Vinny being so close, and Schlocks will get dealt with by bolts. And it feels like that confidence just flows right back from Imperial at the drop of a dime.
Yeah, of course it does. And we always know that all you need is one good round in it, and it can reset your team. And right there from Finest, it came down to Kriyas, obviously walking forward. I think he's been very inconsistent with those long plays. On the anti-ecos, he's been finding success, but in the rifle rounds, he's been caught a couple of times. And now it comes down to the stance of, that was the start. That was really what drew it even further. And even falling into the mid-pick, it's Anarchist this time, not Pleasant.
He still wins it. And that's another obvious battle in mid that's gone the way of Finest, an important one. Cuts Imperial down, they lose the opening frag. And when Finest can't afford to make any mistakes, a play like that carries its risks. It's worked out well for them on this occasion. They just need to convert the round for it.
Start working back in towards that long take. You've got the angle out towards car. We haven't actually seen many defensive holds on the CT side play from the car. In fact, the majority of the positions actually been taken by the T's in the post plant.
Reposition backup is on the way. Yes, behind the car, unmolotoved. Being watched here for Fur and Bolts. Will that stay the same? Not forever. Flash is still going to keep him blind, but they haven't checked it. Easy lineups and 2 kills that will go his way. FNX will make it a triple, in fact. And Vinny is left alone to fall alone. To fall down and leave Finest back within 5 again.
And that's got to feel good from Kriyas, because think about the perspective of him. He's almost thrown the round previously. He was the one that gave up that opening man advantage, which led into the 14th. Now, he's done himself a solid. He's done Finest a solid, really stepping up from that car position, not being checked, not being mollied, and having the trigger discipline to make an impactful play.
Yeah, beauty of a play at that. Perfect discipline, perfect accuracy. A missed shot from the AWP did give him up that triple. Should have been a double. Either way, it has gone the way of Finest, and that is the bottom line. Fur looking to make the kill against Kriyas' bottom line, but Pleasant immediate responsives. The double orbs continuing to have impact for Finest. And Twist is looking for more. He'll fall back though, concede long control.
Ooh, Shox is in the upper tunnels and Fnatic is on the other side. This could be a slight misdirection because Shox is going to clear out all of this area and say there's no presence whatsoever. What he doesn't know about is Fnatic just on the other side towards T-spawn.
We'll have to try and protect this position. You're going to leave Anarchez out towards that mid control on catwalks, who will watch for any T-side players that will come in from here, and Shox will maintain his position in the top of tunnels. Everybody else, A site locked and loaded. The only thing they're missing is an execute.
And they don't want to overpeak towards this long position either, because they want to put themselves in a state of being as defensive as possible. Even Twist is just trying to toy with them to set up Pleasant.
Keep your eyes on that mini-map as well. Fnatic's looking to make plays. The question is, when does he strike? Fallen's going to strike first. Pleasant next to drop. The AWP taken back out of play, and now Anarchez is forced to try and join the A defensive. Fnatic back turn leaves Shox in with a decent kill. A 3-on-3 that throws no misdirection at all. The execution now forced to move forward from Imperial. They've got 2 CTs to deal with. Anarchez looking to go big again. Slowly walks, sees one, misses the shot though. Caught by inaccuracy and caught by a flashbang. Forced away behind the short boxes, looking for some harder cover. It's Vinny that moves in as Anarchez finally strikes on Fallen. Shox gets Vinny next. And bolts won't last long. 10 to the board of Finest, a moment's reprise as they continue to close the gap.
Mate, this was 13-3.
Yeah.
This is starting to really get out of hand now. And you just start thinking to yourself, like, is even that amount of rounds enough? Because this has been a crazy resurgence coming through from Finest, really sticking in. They've been winning a lot of opening duels. They're working with the information well. And for Anarchez's point of view, maybe it looked uncomfortable. The support was there.
Oh, Fallen, okay. We'll take that. Scout wins the mid fight, but unfortunately 2 players fall in turn, so there's not really an advantage to speak of from Imperial because of that duel. Responded to so effectively. A P90 out for Kriaz. Need to hold out in the tunnels itself alongside Shox. Twist are going to be ready to receive as well on the A site. Got Fur and Fallen making their moves in, but the bomb's back over to that B tunnels on Fnatic.
Now, Twist getting that re-smoke in, and those rotations are so quick, aren't they? They're going to boost the AWP up.
Gets tagged, 3 peaks. Doesn't even land. Fallen again with a scout. A triple, in fact, with a headshot on Twist. The P90 is going to go for the engagement. And Shox has left the B site. Now Fnex's chance to strike. The back's a turn. Oh, this is utterly perfect. He doesn't even strike. He's going to bait and switch. Oh, no. This is not good. Shox, is he ready? No, he's not. Imperial are about to steal this one.
Oh, no, it's an eco, Jay. There's such a light eco at that. Oh, that's heartbreaking. They've worked so hard in this second half to recover it, and they lose the match point to a round like this. Kriaz just got to hold on to the M4A1S, bring it into the next round. Oh, you feel for them. Imperial have got such a sick steal, and Fallen finds 3 on the scout. That's unreal.
Yeah.
No one could have seen that in a round like this.
He's had a blinder of a map. 29 frags. Now the AWP of Fur to close out against the save AWP attempt of Kriaz. And you're right, it is heartbreaking. An eco from Imperial going to get them up on map and match points. Oh, the money is okay, I believe, for Finest. I think they can just about scrape together a buy. The AWP really would have helped them. But they are in trouble, Dweg. They've been in trouble for a long time, and you saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
That might get caved in very soon.
Yeah, you always have to entertain it when you've got a comeback like that. And sometimes if you lose the 15th to a rifle round, you can say, all right, fair play, we did this wrong. But when it's up against an eco, it hurts, it digs deep, because you know that is the round you should never lose. That's the round in which you should never give up as an opportunity to the opposition. And it came off some excellent shooting. The opening pick to come through. Anarchez obviously missing that shot with the scout.
Oh.
That one there onto Twist. Poor. Banger.
Lightning fast.
That's not bad.
Now only 1 AWP for Anarchez here. 2 M4s. Shox and Twist. Setup not ideal for Finest, to say the least. Problems extend, but Anarchez takes one of those problems out of round 26. Vinny, first to fall.
And that's what you need in a round like this, where you know you're light on the weaponry. Try and get as much out of that AWP as possible. Fallen trying to see if he can open up the AWP. Oh, he gets the damage done, but Anarchez follows up again.
How did he get away with that? That is insane. And that is a lifeline gifted back to Finest. How lucky can one team get? Now reduced to FNX, Bolts and Fur, who are all unscathed to their credit. up against some very weak weapons, depending on where they go to it. They're going to lean into the A side, where there are 3 individuals. Kriaz with that FAMAS, AWP of Anakez being so low, and Twist watching long. So it is not the ideal setup, honestly.
Yeah, they're going to have to play it retake. They're going to have to give the respect up. It's difficult to fight when you're in a position like this. At least the information's coming over. How quickly do the rotates come in?
FAMAS ready to receive it. Goose, Anakez. Hearing footsteps, turning away from what he thought was a flashbang. It was a Molotov towards Kriaz's position. Now he's sandwiched, now he's flanked. Twist forced to try and back in. Knees back up desperately. They are on the way. And Twist can't afford to go down. The bomb will get planted.
Getting to that AWP is going to be so difficult. Twist just really needs to find something here.
He's doing his damage, but Fur's alive, as is Bolts. Continuous taps. Now Plesser makes his way in. Deagle in hand. AWP on his back. And Smoke's starting to give a bit of harder cover. Spray back off, so much damage under those two. Twist going to take his chance as Plesser still strikes with the Deagle, gets them both, and keeps Finest alive.
Oh, little bit of luck coming through in that round. So much spam. Connections to low HP, but not enough to drop those players. Plesser finding a couple of kills with the dig. And keep in mind, in that round, we had the AWP for Anakez. We had a couple of odd rifles here or there. Plesser was on a pistol, and he was the one that closed the round.
Watch how he did it as well. Straight through, headshot on one, tag up on the other. Low HP across both those two individuals. And another lifeline is gained, another chance for Finest to make this up. 4 to overtime. And then you've got to win that overtime as well. It's not an easy feat, it's still a long way back. And Imperial just need to get that one good round. They'll look for the first good frag on Fallen. Again with the AWP, this time placed out towards long. Running in the midst of smokes. Anakez out towards mid will fall back. It's Kriaz, however, that strikes first.
Yeah, Fallen trying to play anti-flash, working in and around the smoke, get the pick, but not find the connection, so he has to try and fall back, and unfortunately just gets picked off in the process. Even that AWP being thrown further back, so no way that Imperial could try and recover it from Fur.
Maybe they can get it back in the hands of Plesser. That double AWP setup was working real well for them. He's on the opposite end of the map for now. Could be a worthy save as Twist takes point on the long defense here. Playing offside anchor. Kriaz also in the pit, which he just is covered away. So no opportunities for Imperial to get any easy picks. And once again, they're down by 2.
Yeah, smartly played right now from Finest, holding on to quite a lot of their util. They're playing quite passively, directly in the sights in tow, not sort of over-facing at all. And Plesser just trying to see if he could spam up to the upper tunnels. As an overall picture, though, for Imperial, they need one of the defaulting players to just find some success.
Oh, and Plesser, I think he might have spotted FNX at the edge of the smoke, got that spray through wall, through smoke kill, but almost dealt with. Bolt certainly is. 23 HP for the last round of the team side, and it's going to be a perfect round as well for Finest. Not any damage being done. The confidence has returned. And the gap continues to close.
But the job's not done. That's what we know. 3-13 down to recover it into overtime would be one hell of a feat. And for a team participating at their first international LAN, you couldn't even imagine that. So keep that in mind of what the potential could be here from Finest, but they still need 3 more rounds. And knowing they're up against a hero rifle, this should be theirs for the taking.
Mach 10 and 3 Tech 9s with the Galil for Imperial. The setup is weak, and on paper, Finest should get to 14 before the next true guns come out. So long as they don't stumble at this hurdle, and we have seen them fall at the hands of upgrade pistols only so far in this map-up. Is this going to be one of those occasions that seals the deal on their best of 1?
The rotation from Pleston is going to be out here to defend and B. Even the timing on that resmoke is going to cancel it for a moment. He's still got that lurker Fur outside of the longhouse towards top mid. Hasn't seen anything at the moment. He's just trying to sell some presence over to A, trying to over-rotate.
That man's going to land on Bolts pretty perfectly. The flashes go over and the teams will execute. Shocks, tanking damage for it. Ahead of the big box, Pleston with the kill. FNX with a responsive, and Bolt finds an angle at the edge of the smoke. A bit of a one-way there. Shocks didn't register. So once again, the B-side has been busted open, and Anakez is forced to make his way in. Sees 2 players, gets one. Completely unawares of the second man. Unfortunately, the nades back towards him won't do much. Bolt's tagged. Foe on the way. The backstab though, Twist has checked it, and that's all important. Now they're so heavily tagged up here from Imperial, but still fighting. Bolt's with a kill on the Mach 10. FNX rather, on his back. Looking for a decent angle here. Time's ticking.
Yeah, Atticus trying to get into the side, but he needs his teammate, needs anything, and the Mac 10's going to win it out. Kriaz now to clutch in a similar position for Twist to make the magic happen. No one peeking, no one overextending, just playing the timer. Kriaz doesn't quite find the jewel, and there it is from Imperial. They close when it matters the most, Jay. And